Okay, maybe so we go to our next presenter, also season presenter actually, our Mr. Muhammad Hafizi Bin Ahsan alias Miskan. He's currently a senior lecturer at the Labuan Faculty of International Finance. Mr. Hafizi will be sharing his experience on how to work smarter remotely using the Smart UMS, Telegram, and Google Docs ecosystems. So please welcome Mr. Hafizi. The screen is yours.
All right, thank you, moderator Puan Salmi. Assalamualaikum and good morning to Prof. Rashid. If you're still here, apa khabar Prof? Also, good morning to Dr. Edmund, our newly appointed Director of E-Learning Center. To our fellow speakers, my dearest Prof. Fong, our former Director of PEP, thank you for introducing Wakelet to us. I believe it is a very convenient tool, Prof, to store our digital contents in one place. Not only storing, but collaborating and sharing too. I think I like the translation feature. It's very innovative. Assalamualaikum to my good friend, Mr. Datu from FPEP and Madam Annalisa from PPST. I have to switch off my video. Same reason, to save the bandwidth. So I'm so delightful to be here as one of the speakers for the third seminar on soaring above pandemic challenges at UMS. My name is Hafizi, and I'm from Labuan Faculty of International Finance. Yeah. For your information, today is Hari Nuzul Al-Quran, and it is a public holiday in Labuan. Anyway, mentioned by the moderator, my title here is Working Smarter Remotely with Smart UMS, Telegram, and Google Docs. So these three online tools or applications that we discuss here are nothing new to us actually, but if we know how to use them appropriately, our so-called remote teaching and learning process can run smoothly and effectively, not only for us as educators, but also for our students who definitely are not with us now. Is a remote for our course. For sure, there are issues and problems that we face while using online tools for our teaching and learning. All right. Working smarter is simply defined as not working harder, so that we can be productive by doing certain things faster. However, I believe when preparing and maintaining our online courses, I think we can already assume call that our teaching as online course. Yeah, it would involve a lot of hard work, especially when we start from scratch, and it happens almost suddenly when we have this pandemic and a series of lockdown. Well, anyway, let's go straight to the point. I'm not going to argue or to put much attention about working smarter or working harder. My purpose today is to share what I have used for my course and for my students since the lockdown started early last year. I believe all of us have used their own preferred online tools for their courses and should have good experiences already. I will share the theoretical part and then the technical part. The technical part would not be too detailed as I'm given on only 20 minutes for the presentation, maybe next time. I will start with the challenges, as you can see in the screen, then the objectives, the online tools, Smart UMS, Telegram, and Google Docs, and lastly, the conclusion, last but not least. So let's go to the first chapter of my presentation, the challenges. So I have listed here 3 challenges that I think may impact the way how we design our online curriculum, or how we can modify our instructional strategy to adapt the online environment. We have remote teaching and learning, low bandwidth internet, and student retention. So challenge number 1, remote teaching and learning. Some would refer it as emergency remote teaching, or ERT. Okay, we already accept the fact that the implications of COVID-19 pandemic still going on and worsen actually, especially in Malaysia. Therefore, we have to embrace various methods of online teaching and learning, and to actually convert our blended learning to fully remote instruction or teaching and learning. So the purpose is to provide various options to ensure that all students receive quality education through a distant learning model. This requires much more than an internet connection itself. We require our students not only to learn the contents of subject matter, but also to demonstrate technology skills, or it can also be as digital skills to, throughout the process of learning. Right. If we can assume that our students have access to the internet, have compatible devices and digital skills to effectively manage their own learning away from campus, we also need to consider the next challenge, the low bandwidth internet. Now, we should be aware that students have different type of access to the internet depending on their location. Therefore, we should analyze the existing infrastructure that our student could have. So in my case, I'm teaching computer applications. Yeah? Most of our students are using mobile data to access the internet. They actually spread evenly throughout the Malaysia. If I can click on the map here, right? So I map their locations throughout the Malaysia using their GPS coordinates, longitude and latitudes. Also, if we can see the chart here, most of my students are using more data to access the internet. Second would be Unify for 30 Mbps and 100 Mbps. And some are using Streamix, and maybe I think one person is in campus using universities Wi-Fi. Right. So this pie chart also tells me that most of my students who are on mobile data have 4G or LTE connection at their places, and to me this is already good for them to access our online course. Yeah. So after analyzing their internet connection, we should be aware that students can behave differently between face-to-face and in online environment. So low bandwidth connection, for example, may affect student behavior in doing live discussion, assignments, and even researching for online resources. We should also take consideration on not only the download speed, but the upload speed. So this requires me to modify existing curriculum and to consider two things. One is how to provide real-time instruction, and how to motivate students to study independently at home. So regarding the low bandwidth strategy, instructional strategy, this figure shows Daniel Stanford's bandwidth immediacy matrix. So this matrix will help us to consider the pros and cons of each zone that come with high or low bandwidth and high or low immediacy, so that we can identify ways to make our courses more flexible, more accessible for all students using the tools that we provide for the students and that we use for our teaching and learning. So no one should be left behind. I'm sure most of us here have looked at this bandwidth immediacy matrix before. So to me, it is important when we want to decide which tools that are we going to use for our students that also align with our curriculum strategy and course contents. So there are 4 zones here: green, blue, yellow, and red. Yeah. So the blue zone has high immediacy effect. High immediacy effect, but with low bandwidth, such as Google Docs and messaging apps. Yes, Telegram or WhatsApp. So moving on, we have the yellow what you call that? The yellow zone with low immediacy, but with high bandwidth. So if you pre-recorded videos or even audios, we have to make sure that this, although it is low immediacy, it requires high bandwidth. But that's okay if you have 2 or 3 videos in your course contents. We also have the blue zone that include collaborative documents and chat messaging. That's okay. I already mentioned about that. And then last one, the red zone. So this is the highest what you call it, requirement for any student if they are going to use tools such as WebEx or Google Meets. All right. So I will consider, in most cases, I will consider the low bandwidth internet connections. So that's why in this presentation, I will focus on using Smart UMS, Telegram, and Google Docs. Yeah. One thing, even if we are considering activities that lower the bandwidth, it is also important to know how to optimize images that we share with our students, how to reduce the PDF size, how to reduce video files and documents. So our distribution of this file can become effective if you post them into LMS or Smart UMS, or even to send the files via email. Because we have to be aware that even though the download speed is remarkable, but take note of the upload speed. Yeah. This is the last challenge that I include here in my presentation. Of course, there are many other challenges depending on different situations. Student retention. So student retention refers to student persistent to stay in their studies until they graduate, or at least semester until end of semester. So by that, we should create programs that help them to engage in their classes and involve on campus, not only academic but extracurriculum programs. Right? But now, due to our current situation, we have to do all of this virtually. But I'm not going to discuss further about student retention. In my mind, my job is to retain as many students that I can, especially when they are not actually in campus. So the questions such as, can online activities help to retain students? What type of online activities that can hold them as long as possible until they graduate? As we know, the lockdown started last year, early last year. if I'm not mistaken, most students of cohort 2020, 2021 may not even enter UMS campus physically. And we do not know until when this pandemic would stay. Maybe by end of next year, 2022. Uh, um, then these students may have to learn everything online, almost halfway of their 3 years of program. So therefore, we need to provide educational services that promote student retention. Always focus that the primary role of student is to learn. Yeah? The hunger of educations of our deliveries of the contents. So our challenge here is how to use an online environment to improve retention rate. As but deep in our heart, we know that this online environment can be complicated and also add what we call that some difficulties during the process. Right. So those are the challenges that I have listed. Next, the objectives. So these three objectives become my so-called my framework. So my reminders whenever I design my online curriculum for the students. Right. It is not the online tools that matters. It is not the technology that matters the most. It is how we use these online tools to accommodate our student needs, and also how we can work effectively and not disrupting other tasks. I mean, simply to say, if the application is very difficult to adapt, very difficult to use, somehow we have to pay. So my advice is just to ignore that, find the alternative, the open source applications such as Wakelet, that Prof. has briefed earlier. In most cases, I work back and forth. I think everybody also does that by trial and error. It is not easy in the first place, but when we have the template, it can be helpful to proceed to the next step. So the first objective is how to stay connected with the students. Second, how to be flexible with the students. And the third objective is to help students to learn at their own pace. Remember, they are at home. There will be other disruptions while they study. So I'm sure everyone has his own principles when designing their own curriculum instructional strategy. So let's move on to the next slide here. This is, I would say, the ecosystem of my what you call it, curriculum design. I hope it's correct. So I have UMS, Telegram, and Google Docs. So Smart UMS role is to provide the system, the learning management system, activities such as quizzes and assignments. Telegram is important for me to communicate with the students and also among the students. Google Docs will become our collaboration software, because it provides real-time editing for me and also for the students. Next, the online tools. So now we come to the technical part, but I promise I won't deliver it too detailed because it will take much time to explain each step. So in this section, I will share the technical implementation of my 3 online tools that I have mostly used for my teaching and learning, based on 3 objectives that I have mentioned before. My idea is also to create a near face-to-face like environment. So I would like students to feel my presence, even though it happened virtually. Right? We have Smart UMS, Telegram, and Google Docs. So Smart UMS. This is our official LMS, Learning Management System. Smart UMS has a variety of, it is based on Moodle and has a variety of online activities and built-in features that we can use to effectively manage our online and teaching and learning. So I have listed here 4 online activities: online tutorial registrations, group assignment submission, assignment or quiz extension, and self-directed learning. So online tutorial registration. As the name suggests, students can enroll the course and later choose which tutorial group that they wish to register. So this happened in the early semester, week 1, week 2, or week 3. So with this feature, we can later straight away download the student list according to their tutorial group. So this can save time compared if we do it manually. So if you have set tutorial slot registration, in UMS, you have this student view. So as example, you can see group A and group B with 3 students. So student 1 and student 2 choose group A for the tutorial group, and student 3 choose group B. But in our teacher view or lecturer's view, it has almost the same view, but with 3 buttons at the bottom. You can download this registration list, tutorial registration list in Excel format or in text format. So to set this online tutorial registration, we use an activity called choice. So I have put in steps in numbers on how to set online tutorial registration. We can refer it later. Next, group assignment submissions. So with group assignment submissions, students can submit, say, 1 file. It can be more as their group submissions. So everybody can look at that particular file as a group submission. Later, if you the same marks to all students, we can simply enter the marks for one student, and Smart UMS will ask whether the mark that you have entered for that particular student will also be applied to other group members. So before we do this, we have to set groups for our students. So under course administration, you go to users, click groups, and this is the what call it, the screen for you to create groups and then enter the group members. And in your assignment setting, in a section called group submission setting, make sure you change from no to yes for students submit in groups, and require group to make submission for groups submissions. So when students, when has submitted the file, when we want to give marks to the student, you have an option to select which group that you want to assess and to give mark. So you would enter only one, click grade here, and then you have a screen that will be easier for you to enter marks, even look at the assignment first and give mark, and then there is option whether you want to apply this mark to all other group members. All right. To fulfill the second objective, in which I need to be flexible for the students. I mean, because they work at home, the motivation is not always there because work alone. Some students would require extensions for many cases, especially internet connections. So in Smart UMS, there's options called user override. If you want to give an extension to a particular group, the whole group, you use group override. So this is an example of assignment 1 with due date Saturday 20 March 2021. This is already due. So when you click user override here, you will choose which student that you want to give extension. So you will give a new due date and a new cut-off date and click save. If you have another student, click this button called save and add another, save and enter another override. So when you have set the override date, you have this list of students who have been given extension, due date and cut-off. Right, self-directed learning. So I hope with this feature called lesson activity available in Smart UMS, you can actually create a self-directed learning to let students to be more flexible when they learn. They will learn according to their pace or to their rate, whenever they are free. But as long as it happens within the semester. So with self-directed learning or lesson activities, we have so-called branching exercise for the students. You have to design some kind of storyboard for the students. You have here. I have. So in this example, I'm teaching computer applications, and one of them I have to teach my students how to create a proper PowerPoint design. So for example, do not overuse effects. Then these notes will be followed by questions. True or false question. If students answer true, which is incorrect in this example, there's a continue button, and then student would be forced back to the notes, and they have to read it. This is a simple example. So if student answered it correctly, then he or she will be directed to the next note or next topic. Okay, so these are the 4 things that I use mostly in Smart UMS. Right, Telegram. So everybody knows Telegram. Everybody likes to use Telegram. I would say this is the most popular online chat tool after WhatsApp, especially during pandemic. I don't have the statistic, but it becoming so popular nowadays. I'm not going to compare Telegram and WhatsApp, but after using it for several years now, even before the pandemic, I would say this is the most reliable, flexible online chat tool with lots of features. You can install a Telegram in multiple devices. So unlike WhatsApp, it's one device, one account. But with Telegram, you can actually create up to 3 accounts in one device. For example, and then Telegram can actually hide your handphone number, right? So student would see your username only. So to those who are what we call that, who feel so private about giving handphone number to the students, you can set this option on. Another option is to buy another number and then activate your new Telegram account purposely for teaching and learning. And I'm doing that. I have another number for my student. Even my wife do not know the number. Right? Okay. So as you can see in the screen, I have listed 4 main features of Telegram. You have groups and folders, schedule message, chat activities, and chat export. So I would like to highlight these 4. I use folders. You get these folders are not available by default. You have to create it. So for example, I'm teaching this subject called AppsCom, aplikasi komputer untuk perniagaan. So I created one group called class group, AppsCom class S2 2021. and then project groups. So students are divided into 6 to 7 group members, and I created, I have about 10 groups for the students. So, and then I create the link, and then students would enter according to their groups. So they will have discussions in that particular group among the group members. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, Puan Salmi, 5 minutes. Nak habis dah ni. Thank you. Next, schedule message. So this is, I would say, the most powerful feature available in Telegram. What I can do is I can create a message 1 week or 2 weeks earlier in advance, so that when it comes to class time, I don't have to worry much about whether I have sent a message or not. So in this is, as you can see in the screen, I have some sort of reminder for every week, yes, until the end of the semester. Right? Some students, they like to, and I put out a policy. You can ask me any question in Telegram at any time, and I will try to answer it within 24 or 48 hours to 1 or 2 days. But I'm not going to reply to your message, after office hours. But if I do, and if I do, I will use scheduled message. So the message will come out the next day at 8 a.m. In the morning. All right. I like to put up a lot of activities using Telegram chat. For example, I have this agenda for today's class. This is example of an OBE attendance that student need to click, and it is made compulsory this semester. Poll questions before the class to break the ice. Right? So my objective is to create a near face-to-face like environment for the students. So my class starts at 8 a.m. All right. So it's early morning, and then whether they have breakfast or not, or whether they have prepared themselves for the early class or not, that is not my concern. But to me, you have to be in front of your laptop or computer at 8 a.m. sharp. So I also design a group photo competition every week. So the group members must take selfie photo and send it back to their assignment or project group. So selfie photo should be new. Do not use old photos. It must be today's versions of of yourself, students. So what they need to do is they have to create a collage of group members. So I put up teams here. For example, this week 4 has a team called food. So if your group photo is selected, I would say this is a competition. The group members who have attended the class and are shown in the group photo will be rewarded a 24-hour extension. So every week, actually, since this is I'm teaching computer applications, and students need to submit practical assignments every week. They have to submit by Friday. So if their group photo is selected, so I reward them with 1 day extension. They can submit on Saturday. So I apologize for giving this example, food example, but I would say this is a very nice photo, very nice photos from the student, very nice effort that they can do in 1 day. It's almost complete. And then last one, chat export. So by the end of the semester or middle semester, I use this function to save everything in my hard disk. So all chats, all files, everything would be compiled in HTML format. So it also downloads student videos in using chat exports. Ya, Dr. Tara, cantiknya pelajar dengan donat. Ya, sebab tu saya letak gambar sebagai example. Okey. Yeah, right. So Google Docs. I think most of us know that what Google Docs can do. I use Google Docs to display my calendar with the students. I update the calendar every week, and then I use Google Docs to deliver my notes to the students. I can update these notes every semester because I use the same link, or I can copy and use the other links. It's okay with Google Docs. Yeah. And then I deliver assignment question also using what we call that Google Docs. Yeah, to me it is effective because I have a lot of instructions in my assignment questions, and then of course I do make mistakes, a little tiny mistakes, and then the students can identify the mistakes. Yeah, and then I can straight away edit the mistake, and then everybody can see the new versions of assignment question. So this is example of group assignments. And so students, according to groups, they would click the designated assignments, and then they would answer it in Google Docs. All right. So, what you call that? Last but not least, I believe that this pandemic won't be completely over for another year. Right? Hopefully, it ends earlier. Right? Therefore, we need, whether we like it or not, we need to embrace any kind of method, use any kind of online tools to ensure that our remote teaching is effective and successful, and also benefiting the students. Yeah? Again, this is a learning process. It can be difficult in the early stage, but I think it can be simplified later, after a few cycles. So provide online activities that can help students to always get along with their studies and their friends. Remember, they are alone at home, isolated maybe, so they need to socialize with their friends. So I hope chatting in Telegram would help them to overcome the problem. Be flexible, and let them learn at their own pace, as long as things are done within the semester. They would know, right? If they keep on dragging assignments until the end of the semester, they won't be able to produce quality assignment. So we are now in difficult situation. Things may not run as we expected. Some would require trial and error. Some may run smoothly, some may fail. Yeah. So thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate your time listening to my presentation, not so much presentation. I'm sure there are still rooms for me to improve my method of online teaching and learning. If you can suggest and give comments later. Okay, so again, thank you very much. Over to you, Puan Salmi.
Thank you, Encik Hafizi, for the sharing. Actually, as you call it, is an ecosystem. It's a very smart ecosystem because we have the formal smart tree and supported by Google Docs, and for all the repository, and then all the communication in Telegram. So yeah, it makes sense because sometimes if we do like that, we have a backup. If our smart tree is down or whatever, we still can access all the important things, important materials through the Google Docs. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hafizi. It's very interesting actually. And then if there's any question, maybe you can unmute your microphone to ask maybe one questions. But is there? If there's no questions, maybe you can ask the question later in the telcop, in our telcop, tlcop.ums.edu.my. There will be a dedicated videos and question and answer session there. Okay, maybe